There's no cure for racing. You're not even going broke. The only cure for racing is the end of our lives, not the end of our career.
By far the best series I've ever raced in, dollar for dollar. I can race all year on a quarter what it would cost me to run anything else.
Here you can beat it out or make a new one and be back the next week. And it's really an affordable series. I really like it.
It's nice to come back, and have the car slide around and, put it back in the driver's hands. I like that.
Hi guys, I'm Olivia Pritchett, and our drivers are getting ready for the Northern Division Championship race. Kevin Cromer is in the lead for now, but there's only a total of 21 points separating the top 4 drivers in the Northern Division. Welcome to Jennerstown Speedway.
And we're back in the Western Pennsylvania region, the Laurel Mountain area of Western Pennsylvania, where they've raced for 91 years here in Jennerstown. Field rolling away. This is a beautiful show truck. The stable show truck will be our honorary pace truck, a 1958 Chevy Apache. Hello, everybody. I'm Gene Crane. You heard from Olivia Pritchett, and we'll bring you all the action here on this fast half mile as we get set to go racing in the American Racer Tires Night at the Races, presented by Performance Fiberglass Products. Mike Potter in the 14 and Brent Nelson in the 80 will make up row number 1. We'll see the 75 of Bob Shack line up to the inside of row 2. He's joined by Northern Division point leader Kevin Cromer in the 77. The 7 car of Larry Berg lines up inside row 3, and Toby Grinovich in the 40 on the outside. We welcome back Harvey Harrison, car number 51. He'll start inside row 4, and he is joined by the 21 of Stephen Cox. In row number 5, Andrew Kostelnik in the 41 goes to the inside, and Ron Langdon in the 17. Pair of drivers in vying for that championship here in the Northern Division. Bill Ashton in the 35 and Jeff Zellweger in the 18 go from row 6. John Kamarinsky is in the 33, and Lauren Butler drives car number 53. She's a former track champion here at Jennerstown. Jason Shue, the 4th of our drivers in contention for the championship. His 3 car on the inside of row number 8, and Mark Jones in the 22 on the outside. Final car on the grid will be the car number 27, Hayden Brothers. He'll start shotgun on the field here in race number 1. Field shaping up over in turns 3 and 4, looking for a green flag this time by Mike Potter. And Brent Nelson in the 80 make up that front row, looking to the flag stand. Pace truck heads to pit road. Waiting. To the front straightaway. Green is in the air, and we're underway here at Jennerstown. Pair of Southern Division drivers showing the way down to turns 1 and 2. And Nelson will sweep around the outside. He'll take over the race lead from Potter as they head to turn 3. Battle is for third. Bob Shack to the inside. And to the outside, Kevin Cromer's 77 car. On board with Kevin Cromer as they head down the front straightaway for the first time and into turn 1. Looks like Bob Shack is going to take over that third position. But everybody chasing Brent Nelson, who decided to run the outside groove into turn 1 on the brake and took over the race lead. Leaders off of turn 4. Nelson with Potter putting a lot of pressure on Potter. A car length back as they hit turn 1. Mike Potter's got a pole, but looking for a race win here in the Super Cup Series off of turn 2. Potter's dropping off the pace. Mike Potter in trouble in the 14 car. The Tennessee driver headed to pit road apparently. That's going to give the lead over to Nelson without challenge. Nelson took the lead on the brake and is all by and lonesome by some 10 car lengths now, making 12 car lengths as they head down the back straightaway. Nelson showing the way, but it's Mike Potter headed to pit road with the 14 car. Big troubles here, but Nelson, he's been the man of the hour for the first couple of laps at least. He's had some up and down times here at Jennerstown. Tonight looks like it may be a good night as he is early to the lead here in Super Cup action. There is Nelson back to turns 3 and 4 as we head to break. Here's the running order. Kevin Cromer holding down second. Toby Grinovich got by Shack for third. Bob Shack fourth, and Larry Berg rounds out your top 5. The Super Cup Stock Car Series is brought to you by Performance Fiberglass Products and by 303. Keeps your car looking new longer. Super Cup action in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. Mike Potter, who started from the pole on pit road, overheating issues for the 14 car. So they try to cool that car down just a little bit. Out front, Brent Nelson who went around the outside to take the lead from Potter on the start, continuing to show the way. They continue to cool that car down on pit road. There's Nelson, all by his lonesome out front. Second is Kevin Cromer. Cromer, one of 4 drivers vying for the Northern Division Championship here this weekend. Cromer came in with a 9-point lead, and earlier we talked to PR coordinator Aaron Creed about the points.
Out of the drivers that are in attendance today, there's 4 of them that have a chance at the title, and it's really close. Kevin Cromer's got an 11-point lead on Bill Ashton. Jeff Zillweger's in the mix too, and Jason Shu, through some consistency, is only 21 points back as well. So any of those 4 drivers, if any of those 4 drivers get a victory, that pretty much seals the Northern title for them. It's Kevin's to lose pretty much because he is ahead, but you know, anything can happen, as we've seen so far this year in Super Cup Stock Car Series races.
Aaron is indeed correct about that. You can keep up with all the action in the Super Cup Stock Car Series by logging on to supercupstockcarseries.com, or maybe just Google SCSCS. I'm sure it'll come up there for you. Meanwhile, up front, Petersburg, West Virginia's Brent Nelson showing the way. We go back to pit road. Looks like work is finished on the Potter machine. Let's talk to Dale Schlobum about the problem for Mike Potter in that 14 car.
Yeah, it's getting hot. It was running 240 on the parade lap. It's just hot. It got hot in qualifying, and hopefully we didn't tear something up.
That's pretty intense. 240 on the parade lap for Mike Potter, but looks like they've got it cooled down. He'll rejoin the field several laps down. We're on board with Larry Berg. Larry Berg now running in the 6th position. His teammate Stephen Cox just ahead in that 21 car, able to bypass him and take over 5th. Cox now looking to the inside of the 75 of Bob Schacht. Looks like he's going to bypass Bob Schacht out of turn 4. So Stephen Cox up to 4th, sets his sights on Toby Grinovich, the yellow car, just as we exit turn 2. That's the number 40. He is running in 3rd. Larry Berg now closes in on Bob Schacht. Schacht, the national points leader, and has had a very good year. And it looks like Bob Schacht's going to give up a top 5 run right now. See if he's able to come back as Larry Berg bypasses and takes over 5th. Down the back straightaway they go. We talked about points, Northern Division points. Jason Shu, although 21 points back, is still mathematically in the hunt.
It's not been a too bad season. Making gains with the car this year and make it a lot faster. Up to 6th in the last race here. And I started 3rd in the redraw. I went pretty good until the car was too loose. I made some changes for this race. We'll see how it goes.
What's your strategy for taking the Northern Division?
Finish the race, stay out of trouble. That's what I did the last race. A lot of people were wrecking just how to drive around it and miss the wrecks.
Well, he certainly got a good plan there. We saw the Potter machine look to be headed back to pit road. Here's that battle for 3rd. Stephen Cox has closed in on the rear bumper of Toby Grinovich's car. You can see the hinge is starting to come loose on the back, the right corner of Stephen Cox's hood. That's not slowing him down none the least. Stephen Cox trying to look to the inside. Toby Grinovich having nothing of it. This time over in turns 1 and 2. Stephen Cox all the way to the apron. Gets the fender alongside. They head down the back straightaway into turn 3. Cox will pull up alongside the 40 of Toby Grinovich. And Stephen Cox is going to bypass Grinovich. Cox to 3rd. Meanwhile, the 80 car Brent Nelson just showing the way, but now has company. Here is the 77 of Kevin Cromer. Cromer is closed in. So a battle starting to develop up front as Stephen Cox is also on his way. Here's a look at the top 5. Nelson, Cromer, Cox, then Toby Grinovich and Larry Berg. Don't go away. More coming your way from Jennerstown right after this. The Super Cup Stock Car Series is brought to you by Racing Radios and by G-Force Racing Gear, your home for quality, innovation, and value. Earlier today, 2 hours of practice for the Super Cup competitors, and that's Cody Robaugh, who was working on Grandpa Larry's car. Cody had a good run of the trucks last month at Bristol and is actually 2nd in all-time wins in the Super Cup Series. On board with Kevin Cromer. He's driving a race car that he hadn't planned on racing this weekend. In fact, not till next year.
We've had it for a few weeks. Nobody knew about it. It wasn't going to come out till next year, but with the last Jennerstown race, we got the other car tore up a little bit, and I just decided it was Time to bring something a little newer, a little better, more competitive out. So we worked all last week and the past 48 hours. It was a 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, and a 1 o'clock this morning. We actually loaded the car at midnight to get it here. If I finish 9th or better, I can win the Northern Points Championship, and that's the goal. It will be the first point championship for me in many, many years. So that's what our goal is. And that was a big determining factor why we brought this car out.
Well, he certainly has a good car. This was the national champion car from last year, driven by Jim Crabtree Jr. Looks a little bit different, but it's still running very strong. But right now, Kevin Cromer's got his hands full. The 21 of Stephen Cox has caught him. This is a battle for second as they work down to turns 1 and 2. Stephen Cox is there looking for a way around that 77 car. We were talking about the Northern Division Points Championship, and reference was made to Jeff Zellweger, driver of the 18 car. He's in the hunt for the points championship. We talked to him earlier about his opportunities at having a 2018 championship.
Well, I hope Kevin Cromer wins it, but he's having some engine problems. So at the moment, we'll just play the race out of how it goes, and hats off to Kevin. Kevin's a great competitor, and everything that he went through is, he deserves it. And I hate to see it go bad for him, but we'll find out at the end of the race, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, very humble Jeff Zellweger, but nonetheless, he brings up a good point. Kevin Cromer had some struggles with that 77 car earlier in practice. Looks like that has been worked out, although he's got a lot of company right now on the rear bumper. Stephen Cox, as we ride with Stephen Cox, has now caught the second place runner, Kevin Cromer, and a battle for that second position is heating up, which is kind of what Brett Nelson wants to see. He's starting to scamper away a little bit after Kevin Cromer had reeled him in. Second place battle continues as they work off of turn number 2. Stephen Cox tried to peek him to the inside just a little bit. Cromer holding court down to turn 3. Stephen goes all the way to the inside. Jason Shue directly ahead. They'll both swing wide and bypass the 3 car. Back to turn 1. Stephen Cox trying to find a way around Kevin Cromer. He'll look to the inside once again, down on the apron, frees that car up, tries to get it to turn right in the center, which has been the strong point for this race car earlier today. Stephen Cox to the inside, and he's got second off of turn 4. Stephen Cox the second. Kevin Cromer back to third, but everybody's still chasing Brett Nelson in that 80 car. Brett Nelson trying to go wire to wire, took the lead at the drop of the green flag. Laps are winding down. Another glimpse of Mike Potter headed back to pit road with the 14 car. His troubles continue here tonight, but as we head to break, it's Nelson, Cox, Kevin Cromer, Toby Grinovich, and Larry Berg, your top 5. A lot more action coming your way from right here at Jennerstown. The Super Cup Stock Car Series is brought to you by Lincoln Welders and by Stable Oil Stabilizer. Prevent corrosion above and below the oil line. Super Cup Stock Car action where Stephen Cox has caught the 80 of Brett Nelson. The 21 and 80 set to battle for the lead at one of the finest short tracks in the country, and a track that is growing in popularity as well.
We're not trying to attract racing fans and bring them to Jennerstown Speedway. We're trying to bring fans to Jennerstown Speedway and making them racing fans. And it takes a little out-of-the-box approach, but we found out that if you put the hard work to it, we're getting crowds of 5,000 to 6,000 people weekly, and they're coming back becoming those race fans. NASCAR has grown too big too quick, and they've forgotten about the local short track fans. And the simple family of 4 just can't travel. They can't go to these big races and take a chance of getting rain out and paying hotels and fuel and so on and so forth. They can get that same experience here at Jennerstown or any of the Super Cup Stock Car Series tracks. I'm not saying it because I work for the Speedway. I'm saying it because I'm a diehard race fan and watch races all week long. There's a lot of facilities that might have nice stands but not have a nice track. Some might have a nice track but not nice pits. Jennerstown is a total package. When you come here, you see this for the first time, you realize what a gem it really is in Somerset County, Pennsylvania.
Well, after approaching nearly 2 dozen trips to this facility, I can vouch for that. Bill Rebar, the general manager here at Jennerstown, and he's got to be smiling not only at the crowd, but at the race on the racetrack right now. Stephen Cox looks to the inside of the 80 of Brett Nelson. Battle for the lead. Nelson took the lead at the drop of the green flag. Cox started back in the 8th position and has driven his way to the race lead. A cross-start finish, new leader here at Jennerstown. Stephen Cox showing the way in car number 21. Nelson down that back straightaway. Drops back a little bit, loses maybe a car length or so. Stephen Cox able to roll the corner and come off the corner a little bit quicker, and certainly put that to good use to gain those spots to put himself up in the race lead. Bill Ashton is also one of our competitors for that Northern Division Championship, and he's got a win right here at Jennerstown Speedway to boot.
Well, we haven't had the greatest year. It's been about an average year. Sometimes we have good days, some bad, and it's all working out in the end. You know, we're second in points, and we have a shot. You know, if Kevin has any kind of bad luck at all, and we have real good luck, there's a chance to win the Northern Championship, which would be pretty cool for me.
Well, Bill Ashton came on the scene about 4 years ago, and certainly has been a good competitor here in the Super Cup Series, and we wish him luck. 21 car of Stephen Cox right now has had the luck. He's been able to drive his car all the way from the 8th position to the race lead, tiptoeing around as there have been a few reports of the track getting a little bit slicker. Might be in relation to the 14 of Mike Potter and his overheating issues, but nonetheless, Stephen Cox showing the way here on this fast half mile. Whoa, Stephen Cox going around in turn 2. Spin by the 21 car. We've been caution-free until this point. Whoa, Toby Grunovich almost getting into the 21. Everybody tried to get woed up there in turns 1 and 2. The spin by Stephen Cox bringing out the caution. Let's take another look at it. Going down into the corner. Stephen turns in. A little bit of loading over to the right front, but lazy spin. No tires went down. Not sure exactly what happened there. Nonetheless, Stephen Cox bringing out the caution. Let's listen in as he goes into the corner. Yeah, before he even got quite to the center of the corner, the car was already starting to come around on him. He could not get back to the throttle. That would definitely have brought the car right on around. That car started to rotate and just did not stop to bring out the caution. So Stephen Cox spins from the race lead. Boy, that's disappointment. Brett Nelson will re-inherit the lead. Kevin Cromer second. Toby Grinovich is third, followed by Larry Berg. And Harvey Harrison, a former champion of the series, has made his way to the top 5. The Super Cup Stock Car Series is brought to you by Patrick Miller Photography and by G-Force Racing Gear, your home for quality, innovation, and value. Super Cup stock car action. Only caution of the night brought out by the spin of the 21 car from the race lead. Set for the restart. Grinovich on the outside. And Nelson on the inside is going to take the advantage at the drop of the green flag. Larry Berg drops into third. Kevin Cromer back to fifth. As around the outside goes Harvey Harrison. Harrison, first race of 2018 here this evening, and he's in the top 3, and he's looking to the outside of Grinovich as they'll work back to start finish and 2 to go. Brett Nelson showing the way. Harvey Harrison alongside Toby Grinovich out of turn number 2. Battle down the back straightaway. Harrison gets the car just a touch loose, may have touched the outside wall, but continued to motor forward. He takes over second. Grinovich to third. White flag in the air. Brett Nelson, a cross start finish, 1 to go. One more trip around the fast half mile for Brett Nelson. Petersburg, West Virginia's Nelson to turn number 3. Looks like he may have this one in the bag off of turn 4. Brett Nelson to the checkers. He is going to win here tonight at Jennerstown, followed by Harvey Harrison and Toby Grinovich. What a run for Harvey Harrison. Man, he came out like he was shot out of a cannon there on the restart. Brett Nelson has made his way down trackside and climbs from the number 80 in victory lane. Let's hear from your happy winner, Brett Nelson.
Brett Nelson, that was amazing. All right, I want to hear about the battle around the middle between you and 21.
You know, Steven kept crumping up on me, and they kept telling me he was coming. And, you know, actually I was burning the right rear tire off the car. We just kept getting looser and looser, and, you know, he got by me. But, you know, I just kept trying to hold the pressure on him, and he slipped up going into one. You know, points-wise, this is really going to help us. I'm not sure how far back Bob finished, but, hey, we're going for it on the next one, too.
Fantastic job.
Thank you.
Congratulations to race winner Brent Nelson. Second place, a former champion here in the Super Cup Series, hasn't raced in almost a year, and Harvey Harrison gets it done here tonight at Jennerstown.
Harvey, this is awesome. Kind of cracks me up because you were so like leisurely the way you made your entrance tonight for the 2018 season, and here you took second place. How'd you do it?
Well, I had some good help. I want to thank the good Lord, give him all the glory. But my son, Brian, he's a driver, and he took off tonight, crew chief for me, and I really think he's one of the best crew chiefs around. I wish my other son was here because he's great help too. With the both of them, I probably would have won the race. No, I'm just joking. Brent's a good man. I love Super Cup, and Jennerstown Speedway is one of my most favorite places. I just had a blast out there tonight. That's about all I got to say.
Kevin, congratulations. We're so happy for you after seeing your journey with your health. Did you ever imagine 2 years ago you'd be here?
No. Nope, I never thought I'd race again after what I went through. It's been a blessing, up and down, back and forth, upside down, you name it. But we put a ton of work into this program the past 2 weeks, and it paid off tonight. The car loosened up a little bit there about halfway through the run, so we held on and do the best we could do. But I accomplished what I set out to do tonight, and that was to win the Northern Points.
Indeed, he did. A couple of years ago, Kevin Cromer championed over medical issues. Tonight, he's the 2018 Super Cup Stock Car Series Northern Division champion. Here's a look at our finishing order. Nelson, Harrison, Grenovich, Cromer, and Berg, your top five, followed by Schacht, Langdon, Ashton. Stephen Cox recovers for ninth after taking the race lead and spinning. John Kamarinsky finishes in the top 10. Zellweger, Butler, Jones, Shue, Kostelnik, Mike Potter, and Hayden Brothers rounds out your finishing order. For Olivia Pritchett and the entire Sopwith Motorsports crew, I'm Gene Cranen. We'll see you next time.